I went to Tokyo Disneyland as part of my trip to Japan for my 30th birthday. Well, technically, I went to both parks for 4 days. This was wild to me when I first heard the news, since I would be living a childhood dream, going to a Disney park outside of America. Like many of you watching, I used to be a huge fan of Disney. I watched nearly every single of their movies, some multiple times, had a lot of their merch, memorized so many of their songs and lines, and had a Disney Channel phase. I was a weird teen, but my favorite aspects of the industry giant were the theme parks. Whether it was in the Magic Kingdom or the land where they still don't know what they're doing, I always felt the magic even as I got older. Even out in Florida, it felt magical in the 4 lands, and it was freaking cold. However, with Disney's unimpressive changes everywhere, I don't feel the same way about the mouse as I used to, and that feeling kept growing as years came and gone, at least in America. You see, the Tokyo Disney parks are not run by Disney themselves, though they do give them the rights to their franchises. Instead, it's run by a different company that, from what I've heard and seen, actually give a f about their guests, something Disney has failed to do for a decade. That got me even more excited to visit these overseas parks and see how magical they really are. Oh, and if you want to see more Japan videos, I also have a video on the Project of Arcades in Tokyo, as well as the whole Japan trip. Check them out right after this if you can. And also maybe like the video and subscribe. Do those things actually glow? And if I say it, I don't really know. After arriving at the Sheraton Grand Tokyo Bay, one of the best hotels I ever stayed at, and after an almost sleepless night due to jet lag, I woke up bright and early and headed straight for the train station, which, I'm not kidding, is literally right across from the Sheraton.
Yo, what? Look what just came by. What the fuck? Oh my, what? Oh my. Bruh, that's sick. That's actually sick. What? Yo, what? Oh my. Bruh. Bruh, I'm in freaking paradise. I just said.
Soon, I arrived at Tokyo Disneyland where there was a massive line. Like, massive. While that does sound like a nightmare, it's actually pretty common. Unlike the American parks, where only the die-hard fans and enthusiasts would wait that early while everyone else would be there at least an hour before opening, nearly every person who arrives hours before opening. Yeah, they are really dedicated. Thankfully, the lines move pretty quickly once the gates open. To summarize this park, it's basically a hybrid of Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom in Disney World. It takes the best of both parks from rides to lands, so you're bound to see Cinderella's Castle and Disneyland Space Mountain. It's actually pretty genius, especially for those who can't afford a California or Florida trip, which honestly, yeah, it's probably for the better. I knew this ahead of time, so I made it my goal to ride every ride that was exclusive to Tokyo Disneyland. In total, there are 10, so it's pretty doable in a single day if I choose to stay the whole day. As soon as the gates opened, I headed straight for my first ride, Monsters Incorporated Ride and Go Seek, which I rode twice in a row. See, I got in line as soon as I could, but I also got a 40th anniversary priority pass while in line that was for 10 o'clock. This was in the rare case that the line was too long, which thankfully it wasn't long at all, so I was able to get on immediately, experience a fun ride, take a trip to the nearest popcorn stand, which this was caramel. Why doesn't California have caramel? Jump in the faster line, ride it again, and get high quality footage of the best part of the whole ride for one of my VTuber bosses. After that, I headed to Stitch Encounter, which was like Turtle Time with Crush, but with an alien and not a whole lot of funnies. This probably has to be the attraction I enjoyed the least. Not because it was boring or anything like that, but because I didn't understand enough Japanese to fully experience it, and made worse for me since it was interactive. The graphics also looked like those old-gen console games that had cartoon-like graphics, which, looked meh? There was a part where Stitch was getting chased by Gantu, and everyone had to guide him to a ship, which was actually pretty cool. I wish I was able to get footage of the ride for myself, but unfortunately, Tokyo Disney has strict guidelines for recording. Why won't you let me record Stitch, you sick son of a bitch? Then it was off to Toon Town, which, yeah, looks better with the grass, I'm sorry. But I was here solely for Goofy's Peyton Playhouse, which is an attraction made for children, but I had experienced this literal children's attraction at least once in my life to say, hey, I did that, and it's probably just me, but given the whole paint thing, I could only think of Splatoon when I played along.
Not gonna lie, when I first played that, the Splatoon theme song from the first Splatoon game, yeah, that one was playing in my head a lot, so, it's definitely Splatoon.
Getting out of that area, I took a nice small break with a nice tour of the castle grounds, gazed at the amazing vending machines that had real water. Seriously, who the fuck likes Dasani? And acquired a premier access pass for what I consider to be the best ride in all of Tokyo Disney, The Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast. The outside of the castle was already hyping me up, and the inside, wow! The pre-show, the queue, the ride scenes, the animatronics, and this moment. Beautiful, amazing, and nearly perfect. I know I'm not the only one to say those words about this ride, and I'm probably the millionth YouTuber you've seen saying them, but these are the perfect words to describe a ride. No, a masterpiece like this. Need more proof? Here's my reaction immediately after getting off.
Wow.
If you ever go to Tokyo Disney in your future, ride this ride. I could tell you why, but the footage I recorded did all of that for me. Staying in Fantasyland, I headed over to Cinderella's castle, which is nothing more than a walk-around museum with artworks that tell the iconic tale that was followed up by a chair that's a popular photo spot, but it was a nice getaway from the weekend crowds. At that point though, I was getting hungry, so I headed over to the Hungry Bear. The big thing here was curry, which up till then I never even had. But after the first bite, I may have an addiction to them. Also Mickey Yolk. Heading back to Tomorrowland for, what, the 5th time? I boarded the Happy Ride with Baymax. Believe it or not, this swinging ride actually has a cult. People are dancing to the music, from the workers to the people in line, and I heard that some people go to Tokyo Disney just to dance to the music. And you know what? I respect the hustle. Out of the 3 swing rides, this has to be my favorite. The music and the atmosphere really brought a smile to my face, and I was laughing the whole time.
Alright, here we go. Yeah! Oh fuck! Oh my god! I thought I was gonna lose my phone!
Well worth the Premier Access Pass. With plenty of time left, I decided to focus on stuff outside the rides, like the food and characters. To me, there's a lot of fun to being around familiar faces, even if those faces don't talk for magical reasons. Oh, there isn't just characters like Mickey, Pooh, and Stitch roaming around, but there's also some who don't appear as much in American Park. I'm talking Scrooge, Max, Rabbit, who is part of my all-time favorite photo, and freaking Esmeralda. When was the last time you heard anyone say, I met Esmeralda in the Magic Kingdom? I'll wait. Now you may have noticed some duck-like decorations in some clips. And that's because I was there during a special celebration called Donald's Quacky City. Holy cow, that's an amazing name. Basically, Donald takes over parts of the Magic Kingdom, and I'm a huge fan of the duck, so this is the perfect timeline. Not only were there decorations, but special food, drinks, and even an entire parade dedicated to him. I got a spot near the castle, which has a pre-show all about Pete, which, hey, I'm for it. Everyone comes out all in blue, Goofy looks amazing by the way, and my boy Donald got an upgrade. And the soundtrack? Just listen to the Chef's Kiss song. All of this while I was sitting on concrete. I don't know how people in Japan endure it, but this was me after the parade was over. My legs! Now, that wasn't the only show I saw. One of my goals was to see a show that not only was exclusive to Tokyo Disney, but also felt like Tokyo Disney. That might sound confusing, so let me give you an example. You probably know about the bird show in Animal Kingdom, right? It's perfect Animal Kingdom because of its theme. Of course, Disney could put it somewhere like the Magic Kingdom, and while it would look cool seeing exotic birds flying around the castle, it would be confusing as it wouldn't blend in well. I wanted that same experience for a Tokyo Disney show. Luckily, I didn't have to search at all. Let me introduce to you Jamboree Mickey. Or Jamboree Mickey, which sounds lame, so we're just gonna stick with Jamboree because it sounds cooler. This show started off as a dancing video made for kids, which has over 120 million views on YouTube. This simple to learn dance only grew more popular during the pandemic, to the point where even adults were doing it.
Jamboree Mickey!
It became such a phenomenon in Japan that it was quickly capitalized into a stage show at the parks. And soon, it wouldn't be just a dance that was popular. The show has 2 hosts, one male and one female. The female hosts are popular. Seriously, I've seen videos only focusing on the female hosts, and those gain views quick. This one in particular is the top celebrity, and not just with views. This is her Instagram. Her follow count, nothing really too special, just a moderate 200,000 followers. On top of that, she was the most searched person on Yahoo Japan in 2023. And she's a host for a show made for kids! Now that you know what it is, how was it? To be honest, it was fun. Simple, but fun. That's not a lie, but you have to keep in mind, this is primarily for children. There were fun moments like Donald popping out maracas, this speaking moment, and I got one of the female hosts to wave at me. That's neat. Yeah, this isn't the popular host, but she's one of them. Yeah, the cold has a deeper hole. At that point, I was feeling really tired, mainly due to the jet lag hitting really hard. But that didn't stop me from going on one more ride, Splash Mountain.
Hello, old friend. It's been ages, and I mean ages.
All the rides before this were my first time even experiencing them, but this was a trip down memory lane. And I know there have been debates about this ride, and 2 others got a Tiana makeover, but hear me out. I'm glad we're in a timeline where both of these can exist in the same universe, even if one of them costs thousands of dollars just to re-experience. There's nothing more to add. It's a thrill from start to finish. It also has the best soundtrack and animatronics out of all the mountains. Seriously, some of them were flawless and all of them looked amazing. The only minor flaw were the seats. Yeah, not the comfiest for tall people. Other than that, it was a blast from the past that I really missed. After that and dinner, I called it a day and headed back to my hotel to get some much needed rest. So after a night of actual sleep, what was next for the second and final day at Tokyo Disneyland? Not a whole lot. I'd done almost everything I wanted to do on the first day since I was there early, so I decided to take it a bit easy and not get there as early. After spending a few hours in Xperi, I boarded the train for Tokyo Disney and headed for a familiar attraction with a twist. This is the Tiki Room, but what you may not know is that Stitch is also here. Now for those who've been around Disney World in the 90s, this might bring you back to this version of the Tiki Room, which was hosted by 2 of the most popular birds at that time. And you might think it's another nightmare just like that, but good news, it's actually not. It's a fun experience, and even better since it's one of few attractions with closed captioning available. Where the was this when I was on Stitch Encounter? After that, it was time to head over to the Crystal Palace. Remember how I said that this was a hybrid of these two? Well, it's true even in the restaurants. And I never got to dine in this place when I went to Disney World. I was 16 at the time, so I probably didn't care too much about sent out places and just wanted my food fast. I made it a goal to right this wrong and try out the place for the very first time. If you've been to Florida, or are sadly a local there, you're probably familiar with this buffet-style restaurant. The major differences are the food and the lack of characters. Diving into the food, these are really good for a buffet. Mouth-watering plates like prime rib, curry, ignore the mess in the handle, sushi, which honestly 2 out of 3 were actually good. The other one, it's a thing. And of course, the desserts. Most of these were hits, including the famous alien mochis. Oh god, I can still taste them. Well worth the reservation. And of course, I had to visit an old friend one more time for one final ride. Hopefully this isn't forever, but I'm sure our paths will meet up again. Now, this would have been the last ride I went on, as there would have been an amazing version of the Electrical Parade. I mean, just look at this! But the weather wasn't having any of that, so I could fill in one last ride, that being Space Mountain. I know, I did say earlier in this video that I'd be riding attractions that are exclusive to Tokyo Disney, but this was a special exception. This Space Mountain will have a new design that looks so much better than what Disney has done in the last decade. With an over 100-hour wait, it wasn't surprising to see so many riding their last rides here. And I wanted to be the last of the foreigners to ride this version before it changes. And with nearly minutes before park closing, I got on the escalator heading for the ride. And honestly, this was way cooler than Disneyland's entrance. What, you're telling me we're supposed to be in a future time and I still have to walk up? As for the ride itself, basically the same as Disneyland's, with the dual seats, dark and starry atmosphere, and this ship thing, honestly way cooler than Disneyland's too. And the color of the cars, chef's kiss. It was well worth the wait, as I got to leave seeing the near empty streets, minus World Bazaar. And with one final look at the park, it was time to say goodbye to the place that kept me company. Oh, and if you're wondering if I ever rode all the rides there...
Wait. No! Oh, 07, the dream.
I hate maintenance sometimes. Getting up around the same time as the very first day, I headed straight for the station after grabbing a quick breakfast and made my way to Tokyo DisneySea. This is considered the best park Disney has ever built. And when you look at images and videos, you'll kind of get a sense of why that is. Like, God, that's gorgeous! And man, was it even better in person. The centerpiece globe was amazing, and I could stare at that all day if I could. But then I saw the rest of the park, and my jaw dropped.
Wait. Oh my God.
Take my word. Seeing this place on camera does not do it justice. It's one of those places that you have to experience in person to appreciate. Every building and landscape was filled with beauty and wonder, and it's not hard to see why it rarely changed. I mean, the latest addition is Fantasy Springs, and even that has the same amount of beauty and wonder. This came out the same year as this, and this still has an identity crisis. Now, unlike in Tokyo Disneyland where I had goals, here I didn't have any. Since nearly everything was brand new to me, this world was like a blank book where I can open it and write my own story. So in a way, my goal was just to enjoy my time here, and I had a full day to do just that. I started by going to the center of the park, where 20,000 leagues under the sea awaited me. Since I got there early, this barely had a minute to wait, and I even had the entire sub to myself, which I haven't had on any ride since 2021. The ride wasn't actually underwater, but they had a ton of effects to make you feel like you were, from the animatronics to the mechanics in the car. First ride down and I'm already impressed. And I wanted to get more rides in early on, so next stop was the Mermaid Lagoon. There I experienced Scuttle Scooters, which had turns that even shocked me.
Oh god, it swings! Oh, it turns! Oh, it turns!
Flanders Flyers and Ariel's Playground, which I spent more than an hour in.
I was slipped! I'm having way too much fun with this.
After some delicious snacks and encountering a monkey, I headed over to Indiana Jones, which, I won't lie, wasn't that great, especially compared to the Disneyland version. Listen, it has some nice scenery and the skulls are always neat, but it was less intense and the giant snake was bland. On the plus side, the skulls that shoot air did look real and not something cheaply painted on. Looking at you, California. And after more food, aka the best mochis I've ever had, I went right next door to Raging Spirits. Not only was this one of 2 rides in all the resort to have a single rider option, but this was the first time where you could be too tall to ride. Imagine having to get around that. Thankfully, my height wasn't a curse. As for the ride itself, it was tame, like most of the thrill rides, but the scenery definitely made up for it. Going through a loop and through the fog was really cool. One of my favorites of DisneySea, but easily gets outclassed by a cult classic, Journey to the Center of the Earth. First off, the whole ride, absolutely stunning. Hits an inviting atmosphere from start to finish, combined with some of the most creative creatures I've ever seen from this greedy mouse. And remember how I said that most thrill rides here are tame? Well, toss that quote out the window, cause this ride goes crazy fast as soon as you encounter probably the greatest animatronic of all time. God, I wish I could have gotten more footage of this ride, but Japan is strict on the recording stuff, and this is all I got. Legit, 2 seconds of this animatronic, which is amazing in person. Son of a... Time to head back to America. Or at least New York during the 20th century, which, hey, I dig. There, I met a bunch of kittens from France, rode the Tower of Terror, which has a unique story about a rich dude getting cursed by an artifact he stole, and even saw Jamboree Mickey 4 times in one day. But hey, I did do a funny meme.
Don't let go, Jack. I'm king of the world!
One of the meals I had earlier in the day was buffalo chicken, which I'm surprised even existed in Japan. Apparently, they have their own food and wine festival when I was there, so I had to take full advantage of home food. And honestly, it almost did taste as good as the ones in America. Now, where the f***'s the ranch? And while we're on the subject of meals, I made reservations for a restaurant known as Magellan's, which is said to be the best restaurant in all of Tokyo Disney. That's a bold claim, so I wanted to see if that was true or not. And when it was time, I walked in and was immediately impressed. Within seconds, this place was gleaming with beauty, and it felt like I stepped into some royal hall with a giant globe in the center. This is peak dining, and I haven't even sat down yet. I ordered my course meal, indulged myself in some fine wine. That's something I never thought I'd say my entire life. And then, fine dining. The first plate consisted of salmon and squid ceviche, which I've recorded this so many times I don't know if I'm actually saying it right or not, cheese with nuts and edible foam? Bubbles? And duck mousse, which hands down was a highlight of this course. Second course came packed with red sea bream and scallops. I don't remember what style it was in, but damn did that sauce hit good. Third up was beef and mushrooms in one of the best sauces I've ever had. One bite and I was in heaven. All of this was made better with bread, which, did I mention, was unlimited, and the dessert. Oh my god, it made for a perfect finale. I mean, look at this cake, and the sorbet, the tea, everything about this whole meal was satisfying. This is without a doubt the greatest restaurant, not only in Tokyo Disney, but all of Disney. And all this was just 60 bucks. That's so much better and cheaper than America, where you'd have to give up an arm and leg for that meal. After that life-changing dining experience, the moon came out, which meant one of the best nighttime shows was about to begin. I don't know how to describe Sea of Dreams other than it's actual magic. Everything about the show just flows perfectly, and there was a ton of surprises and emotional moments. Sure, I could have seen it from the front, but being this high up on the place where I ate literally minutes before this just made it special to me. This show is on par with Fantastic as the greatest nighttime show in Disney. It is simply amazing. I still had time after watching such a beautiful show for one last ride. I had my eyes specifically on Aquatopia, and with a short wait time before the parks closed, it was actually a perfect opportunity. This ride was random, but in a good way. When I boarded, I wasn't sure what to expect since it's unpredictable the moment it starts, but it made it much more fun and memorable that way. Seriously, I was laughing throughout the entire ride.
Whoa! Whoa! Oh, going for it! Oh, going for it! Oh, and we're spinning. Oh, we're spinning. And we're spinning. Non-stop spinning. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. Oh. Oh, going forward. And we're going back. Blur so many people. This is cool. This is fun. I like this. I like this a lot.
It was that crazy and fun, and it was a good ride to end my first and fullest day at DisneySea. And just like that, we arrive at the final day of DisneySea and Tokyo Disney as a whole. And like the second day of Disneyland, there wasn't much left that I wanted to do, since I had done everything I wanted to in one day. Well, minus one ride that was closed. My luck. And since I had to check out at 11, it was back to the opening day grind, but with rain. But that didn't matter too much since I was only here for a few rides, including Raging Spirits, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Jasmine's Flying Carpets. I also stocked up on the good eats I didn't have last time, like this gyoza bun, which tastes even better with the sauce that I had to pay extra for, this Mickey Ice Bar which tasted like Hawaii, and this amazing macaroon, easily my favorite snack in this whole park. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I wasn't there for long, and after an hour and a half, it was time to leave the best park I ever went to. But it wouldn't actually be my last time. I brought some domestic money with me as an emergency fund. Yep, real emergencies, alright. I'd had someone at a convenience store in Xperia about money exchange, which led me back to DisneySea, or rather the hotel within DisneySea. I was escorted to a nearby machine with this view at the entrance? Okay, the Sheraton is one of my all-time favorite hotels that had beautiful waterfalls, but this? I'd easily stay in this place too in that lobby. And after that, I said goodbye to DisneySea, for real this time, and hours later, it was Sayonara Tokyo Disney Resort and konnichiwa to Tokyo itself. So after visiting my childhood dream that was Tokyo Disney, what did I think of it as a whole? Well, it's better if I talk about each park separately, so let's start with Tokyo Disneyland. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's basically a hybrid of the two American Magic Kingdoms, and since I visited both in the past, there was a lot I was familiar with. That said though, the exclusive rides were pretty neat and some really shine. Of course there were personal flops like Stitch Encounter and Goofy's Paint and Playhouse, but rides like Baymax Happy Ride, Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek, and of course Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast were some of the most fun I had at any Disney park in a long time. And having an event going on when I visited made it worth going beyond the rides. I'd probably only ever go there again during a special event, since it'd be more to do than just the rides, like that Who ride I missed out on. As for DisneySea, I'm going to sound like a broken record with a different voice, but this is by far the greatest theme park I've ever been to. It's absolutely gorgeous. The moment I walked in, it had some of the most immersive rides and experiences, something I haven't happily said in years, and it was someplace I enjoyed every second of, to the point where I felt bummed out for leaving. If a park can do that to me, then they made the best of the best. I'm definitely going back there if I ever visit Japan again, especially with Fantasy Springs being added. Tokyo Disney as a whole made me experience something that Disney themselves has failed to provide in the last decade. True magic. They show me that there's no need to shove IPs down people's throats to enjoy every moment. Bye-bye during American parks. These parks, and the companies that run them, care about your time, your experience, your enjoyment, and most importantly, you. And it shows not only in their lands, rides, food, and entertainment, but also in the treatment of those that pay to be there. And let's be real, that's one big thing Disney in America could learn from Oriental Land Company. The second thing, actual water. Disney! No one f***ing likes Dasani!